This evening, first, a fresh twist in the crackdown on illegal cambio operation. SOCU says the exchange linked to Azruddin Mohamed continued trading despite being ordered shut, and more evidence is set to be released. Plus, Georgetown underwater. Heavy rainfall floods streets, halts classes, and leaves commuters stranded as officials race to manage rising levels. Also, a dedicated traffic court and tougher penalties. President Mohamed Irfaan Ali pushes sweeping reforms to modernize road enforcement. Meanwhile, abandoned vehicles could soon be scrapped under proposed new laws targeting derelict obstructions nationwide. And internationally, tensions rise as Washington tightens its blockade in Cuba, deepening fuel shortages and economic strain. Those stories and more coming up. Stay with us. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for February 12, 2026. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the Special Organized Crime Unit SOCU has issued a further update confirming that the cambio operation linked to opposition leader Azruddin Mohamed continued conducting foreign exchange transactions despite being formally ordered closed. According to SOCU, the money exchange establishment at 29 Lombard Street, Georgetown, was shut down following sanctions imposed by the United States government and subsequent local regulatory actions, including the revocation of its license. However, law enforcement received a credible information indicating that the cambio continued operating illegally, prompting a targeted joint operation on February 11th. SOCU said evidence gathered during the operation confirmed ongoing foreign currency transactions in breach of the closure order. In response to public claims by Mohamed that the enforcement action amounted to political persecution, SOCU announced that it will release additional surveillance footage captured minutes before the raid, which reportedly shows and records active currency exchanges. Several individuals were taken into custody, and documents and electronic materials were seized and are undergoing forensic and financial examination. SOCU stressed that it operates independently without political influence and that no one is above the law. Investigations remain ongoing, and SOCU has indicated that charges will be laid shortly as part of broader efforts to combat illegal cambio operations, gold smuggling, and illicit financial flows. On a different note, parts of Georgetown woke up to chaos this morning as persistent heavy rains triggered widespread flooding across the capital, leaving streets submerged and commuters stranded. The Hydrometeorological Service has issued a flood advisory, warning that the downpour is expected to continue for the next couple of hours, reducing visibility and increasing risk for residents navigating low-lying areas. Several streets became impassable, and businesses scrambled to protect their premises with pallets and barriers. One school suspended classes for the day after its compound was inundated. The flooding has been attributed to sustained rainfall, overwhelming drainage systems, and slowing the natural runoff into canals and outflows. Rashid Kelman, the engineer overseeing Georgetown's drainage network, assured that the city's pumps are operational and that teams remain on standby to address emergencies or blockages. He added that the water levels were expected to subside by 4 p.m., but stressed that Georgetown's low sea level coastal terrain makes it particularly vulnerable to heavy rainfall. Authorities are urging residents to exercise caution, avoid driving through flood-prone roads, and monitor weather updates as efforts continue to manage the situation. Moving on, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali has proposed the establishment of a dedicated traffic court as part of a broader push to modernize traffic enforcement and address the growing backlog of traffic-related cases. Speaking at the Ghana Police Force Annual Officers Conference on Wednesday, the president said lawlessness on the nation's roadways cannot continue unchecked, especially as technology now captures a growing number of traffic violations.
We have started the e-ticketing system that has been working tremendously well. This e-ticketing system has allowed some sanity on our roadways, has removed a lot of bias and human interference. But that is just the first phase. Because of the mere speed of this technology and the number of transactions, the judiciary may very well have to look at a specialized court to deal with traffic offenses.
The president warned that without a specialized court, enforcement efforts could be undermined by delays in the judicial system. As part of the reforms, Minister of Home Affairs, Wanij Walran, has been tasked with fast-tracking legislative amendments to extend the existing e-ticketing system into e-prosecution, e-warrants, and full court investigations. President Ali also outlined plans for a tiered demerit point system or performance-based penalties with repeated violations leading to license suspension or revocation.
The amendments will speak to this, how the demerit system will work, how it's integrated into the e-ticketing system, how it's integrated to the persons who don't pay their tickets, and the different tier of suspension for your license. We have to do this. Our life matters. All of us have family members who use the roadways. We use the roadways.
The government also plans to implement e-case management and e-filing systems by 2026 to reduce delays caused by missing or misplaced files. Additionally, the Ghana Police Force will introduce e-reporting platforms and predictive policing tools to improve response time and crime prevention. President Ali stressed that the reforms require close collaboration among all branches of government and align with Ghana's wider digital transformation agenda. Stick around when we return. Education Ministry moves to introduce biometric attendance system in schools, and Ghana records nearly 50% drop in serious crimes since 2020.
Guyana. Mashramani time again and the energy is high. The children's Mashramani costume and dance competition is taking over the National Cultural Center on February 12th and 13th. Bright costumes, big moves, and young stars on stage. Then the vibes hit the streets for the children's costume and road on February 14th, 2026. Pure color, culture, and excitement. Bring the kids, bring the crew, and bring the energy.
Guyana is a real nice place. Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Education is moving ahead with plans to introduce biometrics attendance system in schools as part of efforts to strengthen accountability and improve learning outcomes. Minister of Education Sonia Parag made a disclosure during the consideration of Budget 2026 estimates in the Committee of Supply, stressing that the initiative is not intended to penalize teachers.
This is not a punishment measure for teachers. It is not a punitive measure. It is to ensure that we have that accountability. It is to ensure that we have better results and children are taught. And it is to ensure that we are transforming digitally as well. So it's several things in one, and we have to appreciate, because every time something pops up on social media of maybe a crop of students not doing well enough or a batch of students not doing well enough, you go back to the education sector and you say, well, we've been plugging this, you've been plugging this, why is this not happening? So it is to ensure that we have that kind of result.
Minister Parag explained that the ministry has issued standard specifications to guide schools in procuring biometric systems that are durable and compatible with the Education Management Information System. According to the minister, schools will be responsible for purchasing the systems in accordance with the approved specifications. Still, the ministry may provide financial support when schools are unable to meet the cost, ensuring uniform implementation nationwide. The education minister also clarified that the clock-in and clock-out technology will not change existing rules governing teachers' working hours or overtime. Parag noted that teachers already sign in and out manually and perform duties beyond classroom teaching, including planning and administrative work. She said the move is aimed at reducing absenteeism and lost teaching time, which undermines national efforts to improve students' performance and matriculation rates. The minister also revealed increased budget allocations for telephone and internet services to support expanded connectivity, particularly in hinterland schools, as part of broader education sector modernization efforts. In other news, Ghana is seeing a safer tomorrow, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali declared on Wednesday, revealing that serious crimes across the nation have dropped by nearly 50% since 2020, a milestone he credits to strategic reforms and sustained investment in the Ghana Police Force. Speaking at the annual Police Officers Conference, President Ali said the country averaged over 2,800 serious crimes annually between 2016 and 2020. The figure dropped about 1,441 cases per year between 2021 and 2025, representing a significant nationwide decline. The president noted that reductions were broad-based, with major robbery categories, including simple, armed, violent, and aggravated robbery, falling by 55 to 69%. Armed robbery alone dropped more than 640 cases annually to fewer than 290. Break and enter offenses also declined by 57%. While commended the Ghana Police Force, President Ali cautioned against complacency, urging renewed focus on reducing murders, addressing gang activities in schools, and tackling domestic violence and crime against women. He also stressed the need for public education on sexual assault, starting at the secondary school level. The president credited $141 billion in police funding over the past few years for the gains, with $31.4 billion proposed for 2026, alongside expanded use of technology such as body cameras and surveillance systems. Moving on, the government is preparing to strengthen legislation to address the growing problem of abandoned vehicles, scrap metal, and other derelict obstructions on public roadways. Speaking at the opening of the Ghana Police Force Annual Officers Conference on Wednesday, President Dr. Mohamed Irfaan Ali announced that he has instructed Minister of Home Affairs Wanish Waldron to urgently review existing laws to allow for a more structured and enforceable system. Under the proposed measures, certified private companies would be authorized to identify, mark, and remove vehicles left abandoned on public roads. The president explained that vehicles stationary for more than 3 days would be marked, followed by a second notice after 2 weeks. If left unmoved after 4 weeks, the vehicles would be removed and sold as scrap metal. President Ali said the police lack the capacity to manage the issue on their own and stressed that the current situation where trucks and debris block streets and pose safety risks is untenable. The proposed amendments are expected to be brought to the National Assembly soon. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Works has intensified cleanup efforts in Georgetown, warning that lawlessness and obstruction of public spaces will not be tolerated. Don't go away after the break. U.S. lawmakers grilled Pam Bondi over handling of Epstein files, and small Canadian town grieves after mass shooting at secondary school.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Guyana, Mashramani time again and the energy is high. The children's Mashramani costume and dance competition is taking over the National Cultural Center on February 12th and 13th. Bright costumes, big moves, and young stars on stage. Then the vibes hit the streets for the children's costume and road on February 14th, 2026. Pure color, culture, and excitement. Bring the kids, bring the crew, and bring the energy.
Guyana is a real nice place.
Welcome back. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Dominic Kittins. Tonight, early results show Prime Minister Mia Mottley's party heading for another landslide victory in Barbados. The US tightens its blockade on Cuba. Canada reels after a rare school shooting, and US lawmakers question the handling of the Epstein files. We begin in Barbados. Early results in Barbados general election show Prime Minister Mia Mottley's Barbados Labour Party heading towards another landslide victory. Unofficial tallies indicate the BLP leading with 21 seats from 74% of the votes counted so far, while the opposition Democratic Labour Party has secured none. Voting was described as orderly, with final results pending as counting continues across the island's 30 constituencies. The Trump administration has tightened its blockade of Cuba, threatening tariffs on countries that send oil to the island. Fuel shortages has forced universities to close, hospitals to suspend non-emergency services, and airlines to halt flights. Al Jazeera's Ed Augustine reports.
Cars are still on the road, shops remain open, and people are going about their daily business in Havana. But scratch the surface, and Cuba is under new strain since the Trump administration announced it would impose tariffs on any country that ships fuel to the island nation. The black market price of petrol has more than doubled. Transport costs have spiked. University classes cancelled. Students have been told to study from home. Student Ruben Guerra worries whether he'll even be able to graduate, but he says that's no longer his main concern.
I'm scared because I don't know what's going to happen, whether we might be invaded, whether the national power grid could collapse, and what will become of life here.
Public healthcare has been hit too. Vital and emergency surgeries are ongoing, but elective surgeries have been postponed. This is the National Institute of Gastroenterology. Last week it was running. Now, for lack of fuel, it's been shuttered. Dr. Pablo Gaviria says that already fewer ambulances are going out, and he's being forced to make even harder decisions about who receives surgery.
The ones who are going to suffer are the people. The weakest, most vulnerable will bear the brunt of this blockade. And these are the same people who the US says they want to save, yet they are being deprived of healthcare, deprived of electricity, deprived of transportation to get to work, because everything depends on fuel.
Despite the fear, the streets are calm. There's a genuine resilience here. Hardship is nothing new to Cubans. Still, there's a widespread feeling that this is the worst crisis in the island's recent history.
I've asked myself whether, if things get really difficult and I have the chance to leave the country, I would do it. I don't like the idea at all. I love my country, my culture, the people, everything, but I don't see any other solution.
Experts in international humanitarian law say the US's economic war on Cuba amounts to collective punishment of the civilian population. And under what amounts to an oil blockade, Cubans are feeling the strain more than ever. Ed Augustine, Havana, Al Jazeera.
Police in Canada have identified an 18-year-old woman as the suspect in a school shooting that killed 8 people, including the gunman's mother and stepbrother. Mass shootings are rare in Canada, which has strict gun control laws. Al Jazeera Heidi Sue Castro reports.
Tumbler Ridge Secondary School lies in the picturesque foothills of the Canadian Rockies. It was here where the shots rang out. A teacher and 5 students around ages 12 to 14 were killed in a library and stairwell. Police named the shooter as Jesse Van Rootseller, an 18-year-old former student who was male at birth but identified as a woman. Van Rootseller was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. At the shooter's nearby home, a mother and stepbrother were also found dead. 27 other victims were wounded.
The people of Tumbler Ridge remain in a state of crisis following one of the worst mass shootings in our province's and country's history. This is a devastating day for a close-knit community, and the loss being felt is profound.
Police say they haven't yet found evidence of a motive.
We are not in a place now to be able to understand why and what may have motivated this tragedy.
Residents of Tumbler Ridge, a town of 2,700 people, about 1,000 kilometers northeast of Vancouver, are now in mourning. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney postponed a trip to Halifax and Munich, Germany, to respond to the shooting.
We will get through this, we will learn from this, but right now it's a time to come together, as Canadians always do in these situations, these terrible situations, to support each other, to mourn together, and to grow together.
Mass shootings are rare in Canada. It's got strict gun laws. One passed in December outlawed more classes of guns, including assault weapons. A long gun and a modified handgun were recovered at the school shooting. Police say they had responded to mental health and weapons calls at the shooter's home over the years and had returned confiscated guns after their lawful owner petitioned for their return. Heidi Jo Castro, Al Jazeera.
Democratic lawmakers have grilled United States Attorney General Pam Bondi over her handling of the files pertaining to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein during a combative hearing before the House Judiciary Committee. Al Jazeera's Ruslan Jordan reports.
As Attorney General Pam Bondi promised to tell the truth to U.S. legislators, victims of Jeffrey Epstein begged Bondi to stop protecting both a dead man and the living who might have joined in his crimes.
We are done with excuses. We are done with delays. No more lies. No more deflection. We want answers and we want accountability.
I'm Attorney General. My apologies, I couldn't tell.
What would normally be a dull oversight hearing collapsed into chaos, with the Epstein files at the heart of Democrats' questions.
It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has
Members
done.
must get to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she
question.
ask Merrick Garland this?
I am
Twice,
reclaiming
when he
my
sat in
time,
chair.
and when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentleman is reclaimed
I'm
her
not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The fighting continued.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes,
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic. This
beautiful
is
state.
pathetic, Mr.
Committee will be
Chair.
in order.
I am not asking trick questions here.
You
The
got your
American
5
people
minutes.
have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game.
Resign now and submit yourself to accountability by the American people.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
Even though Bondi says she is investigating other possible perpetrators, one Democrat called the hearing a joke.
The Attorney General answered the question in that way. Perhaps this hearing would have some modicum of resembling something that has typically been fairly conventional, an oversight hearing of the Department of Justice.
The hearing yielded a lot of drama, but little insight, including any sign whether the Justice Department is going to investigate anyone implicated in the Epstein files. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Capitol Hill.
Thanks, Dominique. This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safety Week 2 headline news for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.